Hello, everybody. Well, it is Tuesday again, and today's topic is a little bit off normal for me. I normally talk about people and things that harm us or things that we do for us, but there's another part of us that is super important, our pets. Did you know that half of adult dogs get cancer these days? It's pretty scary, but people don't tend to look at the effects that all the stuff that we put in and on our pets, and it adds up too. Pets shouldn't be getting cancer this often, this much. That's a staggering statistic. And today I'm going to do the Truth Bomb Tuesday on heartworms because I brought my dog to the vet today for the first time since I've had him, because I don't believe in all the vaccines and all that stuff. And I haven't had him on heartworm meds, and I haven't had him on that, and he's fine. But I wanted to do this because, you know, it's pretty important that we look at some of the toxins that we give our animals and how it affects their lives as well. You know, they're our family. They're little people. And mine's actually not at my feet right now. But heartworms is something that, you know, I went to the vet today and they tried so hard to push me to put him on heartworm meds. And I just, not going to do it. And I did some research and I started to look into it and to look into what causes it, how to fix it, and what alternatives there are. So heartworms in dogs start out as a mosquito bite, and it's from the mosquito larvae, microfilariae, and they are injected into the animal when they get bit. And it takes 5 to 8 months before that larvae becomes a full-blooded worm that migrates into your dog's pulmonary artery and causes heartworm symptoms. That takes a while. So heartworm meds work by killing those larvae, and it's a poison. It's given monthly, and it's just really not necessary. There's other alternatives. Because what happens with the medicine, there's 2 different kinds of medicine that I found that actually they use pretty interchangeably to treat heartworms, and it's basically they poison the larvae that is floating through your dog's blood. And they use ivermectin and can't even pronounce it. That's something I don't like. Milbemycin. Those in itself cause many side effects, problems, but those 2 different medicines cause neurological damage to the parasites, paralyzing it and killing it, and some of them block the transmitting of nerve signals, resulting in starvation or paralysis of the parasite. So if it's doing that to these things in your dog's body and you're giving it to your dog every single month to prevent these things from growing, it's pretty scary, because you're poisoning your dog with something that paralyzes other things in your dog. What side effects are we giving our animals that we don't even know? You know, people just, you have to do it. I agree, you don't want your dog to have heartworms, but there's alternatives. There was one thing that really bothered me, because there's several dogs that if you actually give them heartworm meds, it can be fatal because of their breed. Collies, sheepdogs, whippets, Australian shepherds have a high risk of these reactions to those different drugs, and it causes their bodies have a genetic mutation where the medication can get through the blood-brain barrier, and it causes central nervous system breakdown, and it can be fatal to those dogs. So if you have any of those dogs, I really recommend you look into an alternative. Now, the side effects of these medicines that work so great for killing these parasites are itching, swelling, hives, seizures, diarrhea, vomiting, incoordination. It's pretty scary when you do have a choice. I came home, and something else that along with a lot of antibiotics that they use in people nowadays, the medications used over time in your dog causes a drug resistance to the bug, which is causing a stronger bug, because that's what happens. That's how MRSA came about, that it became strongly, causes resistance to the antibiotics. And this is basically by giving something over and over and over again when it's not really necessary. There can be preventative measures instead. You're causing a resistance to the medicine, making the bugs stronger. And I really don't want to do that. I looked on a naturopath vet website, because there are natural websites and natural treatments, just like, you know, I live a natural lifestyle. I don't use any pharma in my house. I don't even go to the drugstore. And actually, that's the first time I've been to the vet in forever. I don't go to the doctors very often. But instead of killing the poisonous toxic stuff that we give our dogs, that we have to give our dogs every month, you can use a preventative testing method instead. And I thought this was a really great idea. And it would save money too, because you would test your dog, because the larvae takes 5 to 8 months for it to mature to full size before it causes a problem. So if you're catching it at 4 months and you test your dog every 4 months, which is usually a lot cheaper than the meds every month, because I know from my little dog, it was like $20 a month for the heartworm pill for my dog. So that's $240 for the year. The heartworm test was only $40. So that's $120, saving half. And if one of those tests were to come back positive, I can still treat it in a natural way, because I know that I've done it 4 months ago. So if it turned back positive, that's probably some larvae that is almost mature, and I can still treat it naturally without harming my dog and without great expense. And if you would like the website that I found, or the name of the product that I found that I ordered, I'll be glad to give it to you. But if you can do a preventative testing every 4 months instead of putting poison in your dog every month just in case, because I've never given my dog heartworm meds. I've had him, I had Dottie 17 years. I never did it with her, and she was outside a lot. And this one is a giant fluff ball. Mosquitoes can't even get to him. So why would I give him that medicine if I don't think he's going to get it? And if I can prevent it in other ways, it just makes sense. So if you do the preventative testing, you get a positive test. Say you get a positive test. You can still treat it, if necessary, with the heartworm meds. You can give it a month of the heartworm meds if you want to do that, or you can get the natural pathway, because there are natural methods of killing these parasites without doing it harm to your child, your baby, your pet's body, and you're not giving those toxins to them over and over and over again. You know, we give them flea meds, we give them this meds and that meds and the other meds, and their food. How many people feed their dog junk food? And it all adds up. And I'm sorry, but half of dogs get cancer. That's staggering, and it hurt my heart. Anyway, you can treat it with, if you get a negative test, you can continue with what you're doing, just testing. And if you get positive, they're still not going to be mature, and you can treat it holistically, like I said. And your dog will never get the adult larvae, the adult heartworms, if you keep up the preventative testing. Especially if you're in a cold environment or you're not around mosquitoes, it's just not necessary. You know, it's kind of like cholesterol medicine with people. Most of the time, it's just not necessary. Change your diet. Change what you're doing. But that is another Truth Bomb Tuesday. That's all I'm going to talk about there. But I just wanted to throw that out there because, you know, I learned something today. Because it's not okay that we keep giving these meds because the doctor says we need to. There's alternatives. If there's alternatives for people, there's alternatives for dogs. And I have... Sorry to get up for a second, but I have a animal desk reference for pets for oils and supplements. That in itself, this is written by a veterinarian who's been in practice for 20-something years. She's very well respected, and There's a whole section on cats, dogs, gerbils, snakes, birds, fish. You don't have to use what the doctor says you have to use just because they said you have to use it. There are alternatives, and I suggest you start looking into them. Because I don't know about you, but my animals mean the world to me. They're just like my pet, my kids. My kid, I got one. So anyway, I thank you for watching, and I look forward to bringing you next week's Truth Bomb Tuesday. Thanks, and have a blessed evening.